My sister sabotaged my dream job, destroyed my reputation, and even tried to wreck my wedding, with my fiancé supporting her. So, I decided to take back everything. My name's Harry, I'm 31, and I got engaged to Lily 6 months ago. We'd been together for 5 years, and I believe we were starting the best chapter of our lives. Our wedding was set for next month, but recent events proved just how mistaken I was. To understand how things got here, you'll need a bit of background. My younger sister, Jazzy, is 28. I haven't spoken to her in nearly a decade, and there are solid reasons for that. Jazzy and I never got along as kids. Our parents pushed us to have the perfect sibling bond, but all we ever did was clash. She was always wildly competitive, determined to outdo me at every turn. I still remember the moment that defined everything. I was 10, she was 7. After I won a spelling bee, our parents took us out for ice cream to celebrate. Instead of being happy for me, Jazzy threw a tantrum right there, crying that it wasn't fair because she could spell better. She demanded our parents quiz her on the spot, making the whole thing painfully awkward. And that was just the beginning. As we grew, her behavior got worse. If I earned an A, she'd study obsessively until she matched me. At 12, I won a local art contest, and our parents celebrated by taking us out for dinner. Instead of being proud, Jazzy had a meltdown in the restaurant, shouting that she was the better artist and showing off her sketches, turning the celebration into a spectacle. That pattern followed us through childhood. If I joined a basketball team, she'd get fixated on basketball. If I liked a girl, she'd make sure to befriend her or subtly flirt. Home, which should have been a safe space, felt like a battleground. Our parents tried hard to help, even putting Jazzy in therapy when she was 13. But she wouldn't cooperate, sitting with her arms folded, ignoring the therapist. Eventually, the therapist told my parents they couldn't make progress unless Jazzy chose to engage. Things finally exploded in our early 20s. I just graduated college and landed my dream job at a top marketing firm, good salary, great perks, and a chance to work on meaningful campaigns. It felt like my hard work had finally paid off. Meanwhile, Jazzy was struggling in college, switching majors repeatedly and teetering on academic probation. When I shared my job news at a family dinner, I expected at least polite congratulations. Instead, Jazzy erupted. Her face twisted with anger as she accused me of showing off and stealing the spotlight. "Why do you always have to be the golden child?" she shouted. "Why can't you fail just once?" Her words cut deep, but it was the look in her eyes, pure rage and jealousy, that shook me. My parents tried to calm her, reminding her that my success didn't take away from her own potential. But Jazzy stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Later that night, I overheard her on the phone, saying things like, "He's not going to keep rubbing this in my face. I'll make sure he gets knocked down." I brushed it off as her usual dramatic venting. We'd had plenty of fights before, and I figured this was just another one. I couldn't have been more wrong. Just days before I was due to start my new job, I got an email from our. They'd done a surprise background check after receiving alarming materials, fake emails and social media posts supposedly from me, filled with hateful and discriminatory language. HR told me they were withdrawing the offer, leaving me stunned and heartbroken. Everything I'd worked for vanished overnight. It didn't take long to connect the dots. Jazzy was the only one who knew enough about me to fabricate something so damaging. When I confronted her, she played innocent at first, but as I pressed her, she cracked. "Maybe you deserve to know what it feels like," she hissed, trembling with fury. "You've always been the favorite. It's about time you failed." I was speechless. My own sister had deliberately destroyed my future out of spite. She eventually confessed to everything, creating fake accounts, sending fabricated emails, ruining my name, all so she could watch me fail. Her twisted pride was clear, as if she'd finally won some sick competition. I was shattered. This wasn't just sibling rivalry. This was calculated sabotage by my own blood. I told her I never wanted to see or speak to her again, and I walked out. I ended up crashing on a friend's couch, trying to rebuild my life. Over the years, I cut all ties with Jazzy. My parents still saw her, but they knew better than to mention her around me. Rebuilding my career was tough. I had to start with lower-paying jobs and slowly work my way back. But I eventually regained my footing. I built a good career, surrounded myself with supportive friends, and then I met Lily. For the first time, life felt right. Lily was kind, funny, and compassionate. On our fourth date, I told her everything about Jazzy. She listened, understood, and respected my choice to keep my distance. I made it clear. Jazzy would never be part of my life again, especially not at my wedding. At first, Lily seemed to get it. But as we got deeper into planning, things shifted. She started mentioning Jazzy, suggesting it might be time to forgive. Every time, I shut it down. The thought of seeing Jazzy again made me sick. This day was supposed to be the happiest of my life, and having her there would ruin it. Lily would drop the subject but clearly wasn't happy. Everything came to a head last week when we finalized the guest list. Lily brought up Jazzy again, and this time, she wouldn't let it go. I remember the moment it all started to fall apart. We were sitting in the living room, guest list spread out on the table. I was exhausted from work and had no energy to revisit this argument we'd had a dozen times. But Lily was insistent. "Harry, I really think you should reconsider inviting Jazzy," she said softly, like she was trying to ease me into it. "She's your sister. Don't you think it's time to forgive and move on?" I clenched my jaw. She'd said this before, but this time it hit differently. Maybe it was the look in her eyes, hopeful, anxious, or maybe I was just too worn out to argue. Still, I answered firmly. "Lily, we've been over this. It's not happening. Having her there would ruin everything. You know what she did." Lily sighed, clearly frustrated. "But it was years ago. People change. Maybe she regrets it. Maybe she's different now." I could feel my anger rising. Regret it? She destroyed my childhood, my career, my reputation. She knew exactly what she was doing. You don't just regret something like that. Lily searched my face, looking for any sign I'd give in. I'm not saying it was okay. I just think, maybe she deserves a chance to make it right. I stared back at her, feeling everything start to crack. I stared at her in disbelief. Why are you pushing this? Why does she deserve a chance to be at our wedding? Lily's face hardened. Because family is important, Harry. I can't imagine cutting someone off forever. The words hit harder than they should have. Family? Like this was some petty grudge. My voice sharpened. She didn't steal my toys or read my diary, Lily. She sabotaged my entire life. I had to rebuild from scratch because of her. She shook her head, her tone turning clipped. You're being stubborn. You're punishing her for a mistake she made when she was young. That did it, I snapped. A mistake? Do you know how humiliating it was to lose that job? To have my name dragged through the mud because my sister couldn't handle me doing well? That's not a mistake, Lily, that's cruelty. Her arms crossed as she turned away. Maybe she's grown. Maybe she wants to apologize. And maybe I don't care, I shot back. She made her choices, and I made mine. I told you, this is a boundary. If you can't respect that, maybe we shouldn't be getting married. Lily's eyes went wide, her face shadowed with hurt. You're seriously saying that over this? She blurted. Yes, I said, my chest tight. Because it's not just this. It's about trust. You're supposed to be on my side. You knew how much this meant to me, and you still pushed it. Silence fell like a hammer. My pulse pounded in my ears as the space between us stretched. Lily's voice finally broke through, soft and cracking. I thought you'd understand. I thought love meant forgiveness. I shook my head, my voice barely a whisper. Love also means respect. And I can't respect someone who won't respect my boundaries. She didn't reply. She just sat there, tears glistening in her eyes. After a long, aching pause, she stood up and left the room. I stayed, staring at the guest list. The names blurred until I couldn't see straight. The next day, the chill between us was unbearable. Lily barely spoke, and when she did, it was clipped, polite sentences. This cold version of her was worse than a fight. It felt like a wall neither of us knew how to break down. I kept telling myself it'll pass. We love each other. We'll get through this. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. Trust, once cracked, doesn't glue back clean. A week later, everything detonated. I came home late, exhausted. Lily was at the table, pale and trembling. The tension was suffocating. "What's going on?" I asked, voice wary. She looked up, guilt written all over her face. "Harry, I need to tell you something." Dread coiled in my gut. "What is this about?" I asked, trying to sound calm. Her voice shook. I reached out to Jazzy. I froze. "You what?" The words came out louder than I meant. "I found her on social media months ago," she whispered, tears brimming. "I've been talking to her. I just wanted to understand, and I invited her to the wedding." It felt like the ground fell away. My head roared. "You invited her?" My voice cracked in disbelief. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I thought it was the right thing. I thought maybe if she came, you two could." "No." I cut her off, my voice rising. "You went behind my back. You did exactly what I begged you not to do. You betrayed me." "Harry, please," she pleaded, tears streaming. "I love you." I was trying to help. "Help?" I laughed, bitter and cold. "You knew how I felt. You did it anyway. That's not love, Lily, that's manipulation." She reached for me, but I backed away, my heart fracturing into jagged pieces. "Harry, wait," she cried, voice breaking. "There's more." I thought she'd changed, but I was wrong. "When I spoke to her," she said. She choked. "Oh, you're his new girl. How can you even be with such a loser?" Rage clenched my fists. Of course Jazzy hadn't changed. Of course she lashed out, even when someone reached out. Lily's tears fell harder. That's when I realized, you were right. I was so wrong to reach out. I thought I was helping, but I only made things worse. I see now how much she hurt you. I'm so sorry. Her words hung heavy in the air, but they didn't ease the slicing pain inside me. "You should have trusted me," I said, my voice low and raw. "You should have listened." She sobbed into her hands, but I couldn't comfort her. The person I trusted most had gone behind my back, thinking she knew better than I did. "If you can't respect me enough to trust my judgment," I said, voice cracking, "then there's nothing left." "Don't say that," she begged. "We can fix this." I shook my head, unable to breathe through the pain. "No, Lily. You broke my trust. And without trust, there's nothing left to fix." I turned away, each step heavier than the last. The air between us felt final, like a door slamming shut. I knew it was over. And it hurt more than I could bear. That night, the silence in the flat was suffocating. I lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word. Sleep never came. Just an endless storm of rage, heartbreak, and betrayal. By morning, everything weighed on me like a stone. I heard her moving, the soft sound of packing. I didn't have to ask. I knew, 5 years crumbling in slow motion. When she finally appeared, suitcase in hand, our eyes met. Her face was streaked with tears, but her expression was set. "Are you sure this is what you want, Harry?" she whispered. I swallowed, throat tight. "No, Lily, this isn't what I want. But it's what you've left me with." She nodded, wiping her face. "I never meant to hurt you." "I know," I rasped. "But that doesn't change what you did." We stood there a moment, everything unsaid pressing between us. Then she turned and walked out. The sound of the door closing behind her hit like a final blow. I sank into the couch, the silence closing in. It felt like the walls were caving, the quiet screaming louder than anything. The days after blurred together. I cancelled the wedding, venue, caterers, florist. Each call felt like tearing apart a dream, piece by painful piece. Reactions were mixed. My friends tried to be supportive, but some clearly didn't get it. Lily's family made no effort to hide their fury. Her mom called me heartless, accusing me of ruining everything over sibling rivalry. Her brother, who I used to be close with, sent a long, angry text calling me a fool. I read it numbly. They didn't know. They didn't feel the wound. Then my own family weighed in. My parents called, voicemails swinging between begging and guilt-tripping. My mom's voice trembled. "Harry, please, this could be a chance to fix the family. Don't let this destroy everything." But I hadn't destroyed anything. Jazzy had. And now Lily too. The people meant to protect me had crossed lines I couldn't forgive. One evening after work, I came home to an email from Jazzy. I nearly deleted it, but curiosity flickered. The subject line, "I'm sorry." Her email was laced with carefully chosen words, bitterness masked by politeness. She admitted what she'd done was wrong, claimed therapy had changed her, and said she wanted to make amends, to be my sister again. I just stared at the screen, empty. I didn't feel anger, just exhaustion. Was I supposed to believe that a few counseling sessions could undo the years of agony she'd caused? Could money replace the dream job I lost, or erase the shame I carried while rebuilding my life from scratch? The scars ran too deep. Without replying, I closed the email and sat there in silence. That weekend, I stayed home alone, turning everything over in my mind. And no matter where my thoughts drifted, they always circled back to Lily. I missed her. The way she laughed at my dumb jokes, the spark in her eyes when she talked about her passions. But the crack between us wasn't just about Jazzy. It was about Lily crossing a line I'd drawn clearly from the start, ignoring my boundary just to prove a point. I tried to sweat it out. Hit the gym hard, lifted until my muscles burned and ran until my legs went numb. Physical pain was easier to manage than the storm inside my chest. Later, I sat in my car, soaked in sweat, staring at the dashboard. Was I being stubborn? Was I really willing to lose Lily over this? But every time I pictured reaching out, I saw her face that day. The moment she admitted she'd gone behind my back. And the betrayal stabbed through me all over again. No, the wound was too fresh, too raw. Tuesday morning, I dragged myself into work, feeling like a shell. Ashley, my manager, tough, but fair, pulled me aside. "You hanging in there?" she asked, her voice softer than usual. I forced a weak smile. "Trying." She gave me a long look and then said quietly, "Sometimes standing your ground is the hardest thing you'll do. But it's worth it." Her words echoed in my mind all day as I buried myself in code, the hum of work the only thing keeping my thoughts from collapsing in on themselves. By the time I got home, the apartment was still cold and empty, but for the first time, I felt a tiny flicker of calm. It still hurt like hell, but I knew I'd made the right call. I wasn't going to betray myself just to keep the peace. That night, I deleted Jazzy's email for good. I didn't need to reread it. I already knew my answer. Days passed in a fog. Life moved forward, but I felt frozen in place. The apartment that once held warmth now echoed with silence. Lily's side of the closet sat empty. The bathroom shelves were half bare. Sometimes I swore I could hear her voice, only to remember she was gone. I threw myself into work, long hours, big projects, anything to drown out the ache. But no matter how busy I stayed, the weight followed me. The betrayal, the broken trust, the future I lost. Then, late one night, my phone buzzed. It was my mom. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me pick up. "Hi, Mom," I muttered, my voice flat. "Harry," she breathed, sounding tired. "Please, come to dinner this weekend. We need to talk." I sighed, already worn out. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Please," she whispered. "It's important." Against my better judgment, I agreed. Maybe, deep down, I still hoped they'd finally get it. But I knew, I was setting myself up for disappointment. Saturday came, and I drove over with a knot in my stomach. The house I once called home felt different now, dimmer, heavy with sadness. As I climbed the steps, I took a breath, bracing for whatever was waiting. My mom opened the door with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm so glad you came," she murmured, pulling me into a hug that felt more desperate than comforting. I stepped inside, and then I saw her. Jazzy, sitting at the dining table, eyes wide, face painted with what looked like regret. A cold wave of fury slammed into me. "What is she doing here?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "Harry, please," my dad said, face tense. "We just want to help you make peace." My heart pounded. The betrayal hit me like a punch to the gut. "You set this up?" I choked out. "You ambushed me." My mom's eyes filled with tears. "We thought, if you two just talked, maybe you could finally heal." I clenched my fists. "You still don't get it. You never have." Jazzy's voice cracked. Harry, please. I just want to say sorry. Her words washed over me like static. Empty noise. I turned to my parents, the bitterness choking me. You're still trying to patch up something that's shattered beyond fixing. You can't force this. My dad's voice wavered. We just want our family back. I laughed, hollow and sharp. This is your family now? A place where betrayal is ignored, and boundaries mean nothing? I moved toward the door, the weight of finality crushing my chest. I told you where I stand. If you can't respect that, I've got nothing else to say. Their pleas followed me as I walked out, my mom's sobs echoing down the steps. But I didn't look back. The cold night air hit my face, sharp and clear. The line had been drawn. And I wasn't going to cross mine just because they crossed theirs. I sat in my car for a long time, letting the silence settle in. My phone buzzed. Texts from my parents, Jazzy, and Lily. They must have told her. I ignored them all. I wasn't going to explain myself again. I was done justifying my pain. When I finally got home, the apartment didn't feel suffocating anymore. It felt like space. Room to breathe. I was tired of forcing broken pieces to fit. Over the next few days, I let myself be still. I knew I'd burned bridges that couldn't be rebuilt, but there was freedom in that too. I wasn't carrying everyone else's expectations anymore. I didn't owe forgiveness where it wasn't earned. One night, I met up with friends at a quiet downtown bar. I realized then how much I'd isolated myself. My world hadn't ended with my engagement, life was still moving. And so could I later. As we left, my buddy Sam clapped me on the shoulder. You did the right thing, man. Takes guts to stand up for yourself. I nodded, a faint smile tugging at my lips. For the first time, I believed it. Standing my ground had cost me a lot, but losing myself would have cost even more. The next morning, I walked along the beach, the early sun casting gold over the waves. I breathed deep, letting the sea air fill my lungs. There was still grief, still loss, but also hope. I was free to build a life where my peace came first. I didn't know what lay ahead. But for once, I was okay with that. One step at a time. Weeks passed, and life found a new rhythm. I wasn't who I was before, but I felt steadier. There was peace in the quiet, in focusing on me. I spent time with friends who accepted me, no strings attached. We hiked, sat around bonfires, shared stories that felt real and safe. Their friendship was genuine, no betrayals, no games. It gave me strength. At work, things clicked. I tackled projects head-on, pushing myself. One day, Denise, my other manager, pulled me aside. You've been killing it, Harry, she said, smiling. Focused. Keep it up. I nodded, pride blooming in my chest. Her words reminded me. I wasn't broken. I was still here, still standing. Stronger. One weekend, I decluttered the apartment. Found old mementos from Lily, an earring, a movie stub, her handwriting on a grocery list. Each one a tiny stab of memory. But I didn't let it drown me. I boxed it all up, sealed it, and let it go. Moving on didn't mean erasing the past. It meant choosing not to carry its weight anymore. I rearranged the space, added plants, hung new art. Small changes, but they made the apartment feel like mine again. Not a shrine to what was lost. One evening, my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. We miss you. Please reach out when you're ready. I stared at it, heart heavy. I wasn't ready yet. And that was okay. Healing couldn't be rushed. Weeks later, at a rooftop party, I met someone new. Emily. Her smile was easy, her energy calm. We talked about books, road trips, barbecue spots. No probing, no pressure. Just light, simple conversation. It was refreshing. I didn't have to explain my past. Didn't have to defend my boundaries. I could just be. As the sunset painted the sky, she grinned. Feel like grabbing a milkshake? I laughed. Sure, as long as I don't have to sing karaoke. She laughed too, and something warm flickered in my chest. Not love, not yet. But a reminder that beginnings were still possible. That night, back in my apartment, I realized something. I wasn't over the betrayal. The scars from Jazzy and Lily were still there. But they didn't own me anymore. They were just part of my story, not the whole thing. Standing by my boundaries had cost me. But it had also given me back me. I stood by the window, looking at the Austin skyline glowing in the night. The world was still turning. And so was I. The road ahead was uncertain, but I wasn't afraid anymore. Thanks for watching and sticking around till the end. If you enjoy these stories, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next drama-filled episode.